Welcome to Roadshow's AutoComplete, your weekly roundup of the biggest news in the automotive world. This week we have news on Ford's Bronco R, delayed C8 Corvette production, and some atypical new Harley-Davidsons. But first, let's start with Tesla's long-awaited pickup truck. Elon Musk has been talking up his Tesla truck for a long time now, but has given very little in the way of actual details on what it'll look like or what kind of specs it'll have. But it looks like the days of us wondering are soon to be over. Tesla announced that it'll be hosting the unveiling of its Tesla Cybertruck on November 21st near its SpaceX factory in Southern California. It's interesting to note that this event will occur during the LA Auto Show, but isn't a part of it. People are hotly anticipating the first production C8 Corvettes, with them initially scheduled to have made their way into customers' hands by the end of this year. That's no longer going to happen though, according to GM, because the massive United Auto Workers strike threw a proverbial wooden shoe in its works. By the way, another name for a wooden shoe is a sabot, and now you know where saboteur and sabotage come from. Anyway, now the dads of the world will have to wait until at least February, which is when production is scheduled to fire back up. Audi's R8 supercar has been around for what feels like forever, and throughout its lifetime, it's not really been changed too terribly much. One of the bigger changes that Audi made to the car was to offer it as rear-wheel drive for a very special, very limited run of cars. As you might expect, those cars, called the R8 RWS, were very, very good to drive. Thankfully, people have bugged Audi enough that it'll now offer the new R8 as a rear-wheel drive car without it being limited production. Even better, you can get it as either a Spider or a Coupe model. The bummer is that the brand with the four rings hasn't totally decided whether or not to sell this beauty here in the US, so we'll have to keep some fingers crossed. Mazda is the latest company to get bit by the recall bug. This time it's for something a little weird. Specifically, some 2019 model year CX-9s were sold with tires made from non-standard prototype rubber. Drivers of affected vehicles might notice their car's handling will get a little weird, and they may also hear some flapping sounds or experience vibrations. According to Mazda, only 146 cars left the factory with compromised donuts, so the fix for the problem should be pretty small in scope and real easy, aka just slapping on a new set of tires. The motorcycling press regularly criticizes Harley-Davidson for being a little slow to react to a changing customer base when other companies, like Indian, have already started producing bikes that younger people both want and can afford. Clearly though, the folks in Milwaukee have taken the criticism to heart and are coming out with two new, radically different bikes than it's ever made before. The first is a large displacement adventure bike called the Pan America. It's got a 1250cc liquid-cooled 60-degree V-twin engine, chain drive, beefy suspension, and a bunch more stuff. Next, the motor company is releasing a middleweight naked bike with a 975cc version of the engine that's in the Pan America. This guy will be belt drive and aimed at sporting city riders. Think of it as Harley's take on the Ducati Monster. Both bikes are due out next year, and we are extremely excited to try them out. Ford's been teasing its forthcoming Bronco since, well, the beginning of time, it feels like. But it looks like the teasing portion of its 1,000-year plan for the new SUV's release is over. That's because it debuted the racing version of the Bronco for the Baja 1000, and holy crap, is it cool. The body shape is as boxy and throwbacky as we'd always hoped, and the racer was packing an EcoBoost engine which will make its way to production. Unfortunately, we've still got a few months to wait before we get to see the road-going version, but this will definitely help to tide us over in the meantime. Hyundai's tiny little Venue SUV is pretty damn likable. It's attractive, not always a guarantee in the affordable small crossover class. We are looking at you, Ford EcoSport, and now we know that it'll have a starting price of under 20 grand. How much under 20 grand? Well, it'll start at $18,345 in its most basic spec. That's a hell of a deal, especially since you're likely to get a fair amount of standard equipment and Hyundai's now excellent build quality. The 2020 Venue is set to hit US dealers later this year. Volkswagen's ID concepts have come in all sizes and shapes, but we've been waiting for a while for a wagon. And now, according to a press release from the company, it's going to be unveiling one at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles during the LA Auto Show. Now, to be totally clear, VW is dancing around actually calling the ID Space Vizzion with two Z's a wagon, but looking at the rendering, we know what's really going on. We're psyched to see this thing in person, and you can bet that Roadshow will be there when the sheet comes off. We've been going a little batty over the 2020 Hyundai Sonata since we got to go all the way to South Korea and drive one earlier this year, and found it to not only be super handsome, but very well equipped and awfully nice to drive. What we were a little fuzzy on was just how much we could expect to pay for this huge upgrade over the 2019 model. Thankfully, now we know. And it turns out we needn't have been concerned, because the 2020 Sonata is only going to ask $750 more than the last year, and that's a hell of a thing. We're not sure how much the turbo or hybrid versions will be, but the base will start at just $24,330, including destination. That's it for AutoComplete this week. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay notified of all new videos on Roadshow, and we will see you again next week.